And we're back. Welcome to episode 4 of our podcast, And It Matters Because, where we cover a broad range of topics related to education, assessment, politics, and integrity. And today, it's great news on the integrity front. Our past episode, we discussed commercial and contract cheating services. And Rach, do you want to share the big update?
Yeah, I'd love to. We spoke a few episodes ago with Mike Clifton about the Credential Integrity Action Alliance, which is working to change laws in the U.S. to make it unlawful to sell cheating services. We've seen that just proliferate since the pandemic, actually. And Credential Integrity Action Alliance has developed a model statute, which was adopted by Georgia. And we have received information that a very well-known cheating service located in Georgia notified its clients that it was closing its doors and legally unable to provide additional support or workarounds from a cheating perspective. So I would consider that a win for integrity.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think we know any more information about that, but this is definitely a happy win for integrity. So, hats off from all of us in the space. Thank you and Mike for all the work you guys are doing with CIAA. I know we're trying to get things moving in the state of Illinois and other states. So more on that. Also, stick around. When we come back, we'll be joined by our guest and dear friend podcast, Tim Burnett. We'll be talking vibe coding, AI LMS security, as well as the TCN. And the upcoming conferences kind of in the wheelhouse that we should all be looking for.
Yeah. And we've also, we're going to rope Tim into playing some games. So it should be pretty fun. Quick disclaimer, as an attorney, I just need to make sure that we're telling you that I am not giving you legal advice, nor are we establishing any kind of attorney-client relationship with this podcast, but we are having a great time. So stick around. We'll talk with Tim.
The EAA 2026 conference. Join us at the world's premier event dedicated to digital assessment. The E-Assessment Association International Conference and Awards is the premier platform for exploring how technology is transforming assessment, learning, and credentialing. We can't wait for you to have your say.
Hi, everyone. We are so excited to have with us today our guest, Tim Burnett. Hello, Tim. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we are just so looking forward to talking with you about all things AI. We're going to talk about some conferences. So really looking forward to talking about what's coming up in our industry. And we're going to start actually with LMSs. And I'm going to kick it over to Jarret because Jarret, LMSs are an important part of the educational system. So we may have listeners who are more on the credentialing side, certification and licensure side, who may not be as familiar with LMSs and the work that they do. So Jarret, let's talk a little bit about, what is an LMS and why is it important in the institutional setting?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the most basic sense, a LMS, a learning management system, in like a higher ed space is where you keep most of your syllabus, your notes, your test content. And for a lot of instructors, that's where you go to have students take their quizzes, whether they're going to take it in the LMS or there's a third-party connection with like a remote proctoring service. The students will still go in. If you remember from episode 3, if you haven't watched it, we actually talked about the cookie hack, which go back and listen to all of those ways that you can interact with an LMS in a fraudulent way. But in this episode, we're going to talk about something a little bit different.
Yeah. Vibe coding, which is something I know, Tim, you have been, experimenting with. There's lots of different tools out there. I think Claude Code is probably one of the most familiar to folks. It's certainly one of the earliest ones out there. It's been used quite a bit. So tell us a little bit, what is vibe coding?
So in simple terms then, vibe coding, I suppose, is using natural language to chat with an AI agent that will then code on your behalf. It's interesting you mentioned Claude Code, which was probably the one that's in a way the name that's shot to fame for this for a lot of people, and people have kind of learned about it. But it's been, I suppose, it's been around for a little bit longer than that. So I started with platforms like Replit, and there was this Cursor and Lovable, and these tools have kind of emerged out, and they come in different forms. They've got there's also the Git Studio one as well, and some of which are more developer, I suppose, assisted. So if you're a fully fledged developer and you're working away with lots of code, legacy code, yeah, they sit alongside you and work with you. But what's interesting about some of the other tools like Lovable and Replit is that they enable people like myself, who I've got a bit of a web development background. I used to run websites. I've done that for some time, but I don't have to worry about doing a line of coding. I don't have to do any coding at all. And I'm able to then build apps. And it's interesting that it's not just people like me that have been absorbing these tools. I think it was Andrew Kapathi who was on a podcast the other day. He was saying that his own use of code, and even the guy who created Claude Code, they've gone from being using AI to write 20% of the code to now almost to the point where it's writing 100% of their code. So everyone within the space is slowly adopting some form of vibe coding to do their development of apps.
Yeah, so I think, we're certainly seeing that in the, I would call it kind of professional IT space, engineers, developers, people who work on this quite a bit. I think one of the things that is interesting, as you said, Tim, and I know, Jarret, you've had some experience with this too, is you don't have to be an IT professional to find some really good use from that. So, Jarret, you've also done some vibe coding, right?
Yeah, and I have to thank the vibe coding master, Tim Burnett, everyone, to get me down this journey. And this really did. It started as a conversation. Coding wasn't something that I have a background in. I was always code curious. I always wanted to create apps. But through conversations with Tim, it was like, this is a lot easier than most people think. And because of that, as we're going to be talking about LMSs and data security, it really needs to be on the radar of security professionals, because this is no longer something a Jedi master needs to go climb, a mountain to conquer, right? This is just sit down and start a natural conversation. So I remember, I think I've mentioned this several times now. I had a 6-hour experience. Well, one evening, started about 8 p.m. By 2 a.m., I had a cheating app fully formed, ready to go, that I could put on a thumb drive and go forward. But that experience was very, honestly, transformational for the way that I look at AI right now. And so I'm going to put a plug for anyone listening. If you're in a space that is AI enabled, AI adjacent, and you haven't spent some serious time with AI, and I don't mean just hey, let's polish this email, or let's respond to this unfortunate thing. Have a true conversation, and I'll say conversation with AI to create something, right? Whether it's going to be some way to sort your spreadsheets, whether it's going to be your stock picks, whatever it is that interests you, because you'll learn more from that several-hour experience. You'll also be able to better understand how quickly this is accelerating, and how that's impactful to your space as well. So case in point, about, I think it was 4 months after I created the original app, I used it several times to demonstrate how bad actors, can cheat on tests. And I was about to, I had a presentation scheduled, and realized that I have 2 laptops that look identical. They have a sticker on the inside, so I can differentiate the two. It was one of those mornings I grabbed the wrong laptop, and I quickly realized that I had the benevolent laptop, not the malevolent laptop, with me. And so I didn't have my cheating app. So I had 30 minutes before the presentation, and I'm like, I got this, right? I've done it before. I really know the main bits about it. So that 6 hours, 4 months later, turned into 25 minutes, created the same app, was able to go live with the presentation. So that type of acceleration in the space is also really important for us to know. And again, I don't have a background in coding. I coded this particular app in Python. I've learned a lot about Python in this process, but if I can do it, pretty much anyone that's looking to be a threat to assessments, or in this particular case, we're talking about LMSs, somebody's interested in trying to conquer their ability to cheat on a test of LMS is very possible.
Yeah. So Tim, let's talk just a little bit, because there have been, a lot of new entrants into the commercial cheating space, people who come into this space and say, hey, for a fee, I can help you get your homework done. I can help you write your essay. I can help you take your test. And we've seen them pop up and also come down pretty quickly. So let's talk a little bit about those and kind of your perspective on how they're being created and what that means for us.
Well, I can only assume. I don't know the ins and outs of if they are vibe coded, but I fully imagine that they're definitely AI assisted, given the speed at which some of these solutions go around. And I think that's, with all these platforms, Jarret's talked about the speed of being able to create. It has changed significantly since 12 months ago when I was creating things and creating things now. The turnaround time has changed a lot. I think what's the other thing to kind of mention that's underpinning a lot of this stuff is the fact that these things come with full stack in some cases. So you've got that database, you've got that front end. You can just assign a web address, a domain name, and off you go. I think Einstein was one example, wasn't it, that kind of emerged. And I think their mistake in a way was probably doing too good a job of marketing their solution, because it honestly put things on people's radars and it very quickly kind of disappeared. But it doesn't take much really now for someone to take the general principles of that, even have access to the code repository on GitHub and just deploy and tweak, make their changes, bring their flavors, add their new features to it. With these tools, you can add features all the time. There's a kind of, when I received through the questions yesterday, first I thought, okay, I'm going to have a quick go at creating my own and crawl code. And I was able to create a browser-based app that runs on my computer. You put in a URL and it's there to guide you, a bit like Cluely does. So the kind of the overlay approach that they've taken there. So these things, the speed at which they can be developed, the way in which they can be, I suppose, passed around. I think where people get a little bit greedy is where it's probably their downfall. If they start trying to charge for these services and market these services, that's when they get the attention to them, and that's where they have to suddenly duck and run for cover. But I think what could be happening in this space, and what people may not realize, is there's possibly apps being passed around all the time that aren't on that commercial level, that people aren't making money out, that just been spread out on campus or colleges. And we just don't know, really, because these things can crop up and just disappear so quickly.
Yeah, which is what happened with Einstein. I know it made a big splash. I think it's sort of ironic for you as a marketer to say that they did too good of a job with marketing, but they definitely got a lot of attention very quickly with their initial, entrance into the market. And there are definitely concerns, I think, within the educational space around what does this mean, given how important LMSs are to the delivery of content, to the interaction with the learner, and in the grading or analysis that goes on with the learner's knowledge and competency, as it evolves through a class. So I have to say, I was online just talking about the speed of vibe coding and how it's impacting certainly, so many different areas, including commercial cheating, because I did see a commercial cheating service say, well, sure, you can try and vibe code, but are you sure you won't get caught? You need to come with us because we've already stress tested it. And I just thought it was really interesting to see, the competition, like, between cheating services, basically saying, well, don't vibe code your own and DIY it. Come with us. We're a proven commodity.
But I think it's that shadow, and we talk about shadow AI in organizations. It's used to, I think it's that shadow, underground use, which is possibly the most concerning, because that's going to be harder to detect. I think for LMSs have done a bit to kind of upgrade their security against these tools, but they're not fully locked down solutions, and they've always positioned themselves as being mobile friendly, responsive, all of the things that make it kind of quite easy to interact with. And by making that, they've wanted to make that easy user experience for the journey. But that means then that tools like agent mode within ChatGPT, which is £20 a month subscription, It's available, and you can just point that at any service. And obviously they market it. You can book flights and all those kind of things. Not stuff that I actually would want it to do, but it's conceivably possible that it would take a learning course for you. You then go off with that qualification, wouldn't you? Go and gain that forklift or go and perform that very, not high stakes, but certainly expensive and dangerous activity. But you're actually not qualified because everyone thinks you are because you've done that small piece of learning material, but you're not qualified. You just got AI to do it on your behalf.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's very concerning from not just an academic integrity perspective, right? But really from I'll call it a social safety and welfare network perspective, right? Because we've created this web really of safety precautions out there to make sure that, hey, if you're going to, like you said, use a forklift, work on someone's vehicle, test water, be a crane operator, right? We've got these assessments that we use to judge competency. And, we assume that there's been learning and education training occurring before then, and that this is a way that we as a society can feel confident in someone engaging in those behaviors without harming someone else. And so I think it is really important that we have these conversations. We had a conversation a couple of episodes ago with Mike Clifton on the Credential Integrity Action Alliance. And I think it's really important that we start to think about the regulatory space here and how it is not just impacting education, not just impacting certification and licensure bodies, but way more broadly, how it's impacting the social fabric of safety and welfare that we have put in place, with those assessments and with those learning management systems.
I don't think we're at the point where the whole society is quite unraveling yet with this stuff. But
right.
I think the point, that's why I want to talk about these things now, is to say, look, if you've delivered an assessment or you delivered a test in some way that would have significant impact if someone did kind of outflank that assessment process, then you're going to have problems. And it's better to be thinking about it now before, it's that abundant access. At the moment, people have got Snapchat, they've got AI through various different tools, DeepSeek was downloaded, so they've got that conversational piece, and they're using it for, at the moment, they're kind of wrapped up in using it as the life counselor at the moment, unfortunately, aren't they? But it won't take much of a step before people really realize how much they can offload on the agents to do these things for them.
Right. Yeah. And I think, so as exam security professionals, we spend a lot of time either investigating those and addressing people who have attempted to use that, or working with ed tech vendors to guide them on ways that they can help prevent that or detect it. So I think it's important that we continue to have those conversations. And I think it's important that moving beyond just sort of individual responsibility, that we create some regulatory schemas that give states, give private actors an opportunity to respond a little differently than what some of our current laws allow us to do when it comes to addressing things with these companies that are looking to monetize feeding services. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about conferences. So stay tuned.
Listen again or find other episodes of And It Matters Because by visiting surpass.com/podcasts. Episodes are also available by searching And It Matters Because on Spotify and YouTube. If you wish to add your voice, get in touch by emailing info@cornerstonestrategies.org.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're talking conferences, but before we get to conferences with Tim Burnett, we are going to talk about a passion project that Tim's been the founder of, really. Let's talk about the TCN, and not, very clever, by the way, not Test Center Network, but the Test Community Network. Tim, tell us more about your mission and what your thought process was in creating the TCN.
Yeah, so Test Community Network It's about 2 years old now. The idea really was to bring together the diverse community, because we've got these brilliant associations that are out there doing these amazing jobs around certain topics in certain areas. But I as someone who's been part of one of those, and part of many of those, to be honest, I felt there was a bit of a gap in bridging those together. And it actually started off, and we're going to talk about events that are coming up, but one of the core parts that started the Test Community Network was this event network that was taking place. I wanted people to realize, as someone who's trying to promote events at the time, just what options there are available, the audiences, the topics, conversations, the sponsors, all the stuff that people want to kind of know and follow. So it started off really as a low-code based project. I had an Airtable list. I pulled in a platform called Software, and I said, well, let's put that in there and let's publish that. And now it's kind of grown. I've migrated it, like we're saying about the vibe coder thing. We've now got this platform which has knowledge. It's got a marketplace on there of, I think there's nearly 700 different providers of assessment software and services, consultants. I've created collections. I've even done deep research tools within there. So I've taken that kind of vibe thing and made it into a web app. And it's almost, it's a bit like Netflix for the assessment and testing community. So
I love that.
So yeah, I'm kind of, and it's growing steadily. It's obviously, it's just me. I'm kind of looking at ways in which I can bring other people involved. But my main mission really is just to try and bridge and open people's eyes up to the world the world of assessment. And kind of tied into that is my AI bit. I'm not trying to make it about an AI service, but there is obviously, because it's a big topic, a lot of AI stuff that's going on at the moment. So, but there's some great events coming up, aren't there, in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this year I'm just kind of amazed at all the different opportunities coming up. I think the next one chronologically or calendar-wise, I guess I should say, is the E-Assessment Association conference, right? When is that happening?
That's in June. I think it's the 8th, 9th, and 10th, I think it is, of June, I think it is.
Early June.
Yeah, it's going to be in London. It's good. So when I worked at the Assessment Association, was I chair, or I think it was after I'd come off being chair. I actually ran the conference for 1 year because the person who was looking after it. So I know it very well. And it's a great event to go to. And it's, I think it's the only one really that's dedicated to assessment technology, because things like innovations and stuff like that is broader assessment concepts, but obviously technology stands out as being one of the key themes. But the Assessment Association one do try to kind of really focus it down on the technology side of things. And they've got the AI Symposium now, which is a new edition they've added in. That's one that I'll be definitely going to, hoping to speak at as well, would be great. But and then there's the awards as well that go in parallel with the conference, which and as a judge for the awards, and I would say you've missed out this year, but next year, if you're working on an assessment project or platform, anything really, just look at the opportunities in the categories, because it's a huge recognition, because the way that they do it, you've got these amazing judges from around the world. I say amazing, I'm one of them, but these incredible people out there that are able to scrutinize these incredible projects, and it's just there's so much more value to people when they get recognition for the hard work they've done. So it really brings out the stuff that's going on around the world is just incredible. People are really trying to make a difference. So so definitely, if you've got that on your radar, go to that. There's another one coming up, Assessment Horizons, which is in April, which might be a bit soon for people. That's a Cambridge one. And then I think there's EATP as well, which is one we've kind of been to on a regular basis, haven't we? That's going to be in Rome, isn't it, this year?
Yeah. Conference on Test Security is coming up. We just had a conversation with Claire about that. That's also going to be in the EU, in the UK specifically. So lots of great opportunities, I think, to carry on those conversations on your side of the pond, Tim, where we're going to have opportunities to really kind of rub elbows, like you said, with people who are doing some really important work when it comes to advancing access to education, access to assessment, security around education and assessment. So really looking forward to those opportunities to get together and have those conversations.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm quite excited about the COTS one because I've not been to COTS yet, and I really would like to get along to that as well. I think October, because that's November, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be November.
Yes, early November.
Yeah, that time there's obviously a lot going on, but I think people will need to be quite careful about what they pick and what they go to. But I think the fact that that's going to be on UK soil for the first time, I think, isn't it? For that
first time, yeah. It's you were talking about EAA and how that is very focused on digital assessment, and the Conference on Test Security is also a very small conference. It's very affordable. We have deliberately tried to. So full disclosure, I'm on the board for that. But we have deliberately set out to keep fees very low. And it is all things exam security. And it's, everything from school exams to professional certification and licensure exams, admissions exams, workforce exams. So it really is, kind of, I call it my nerdy happy place, because, that's where the exam security stuff is really happening. And it's a small but very targeted and knowledgeable group of people at that conference. So it's pretty unique and a lot of fun. We're really excited to be in the UK this year.
Yeah, so I've been talking to a couple of people that I know here who kind of look after security, more centre security, because I think test level and online proctoring has been a big topic within US focused conferences, more so than it has on, I suppose, smaller UK events. Obviously, the EAA's, there's been a big part of that, but not everyone goes to the EAA's conference. And I've been talking to a few people, and I know there's a lot of interest in being able to attend. So I actually think coming to the UK is going to be great for the conference, because it's going to open a lot of people's eyes to things that they've either been ignoring or just too scared to kind of look into. Because there was a conference last year where there was a panel on online proctoring. This is going to make your toes curl a little bit, guys. But there was this panel on test security, and someone mentioned about proxy takers. And one of the panelists, who was kind of an expert in this area, said, "What's proxy? I don't know what a proxy test taker is." And it's like, I just don't think the UK has such their eyes fully open to some of these topics.
Yeah. I'm very excited to have that opportunity to kind of cross-pollinate knowledge and experience. There's some very experienced exam security professionals in the UK from a number of different approaches, right? So we've got statistical detection, we've got from a digital perspective, efforts to stop or detect some of these activities. We've got proctoring. So there's a lot of things that go into securing an exam, including just how you're writing it and delivering your content. So I think it'll just be a lot of fun to get over there. The other thing I will say is that COTS has both an in-person and a virtual session as well. So if you miss the in-person stuff, regardless of whether you're on the EU side or if you're in India or anywhere else, or US and Canada, there are opportunities still to engage with the content and engage with the community. But I think one of the things, Tim, that you had mentioned earlier when we were just prepping for this is just the value of being together in person and just building those relationships and having those conversations.
Yeah, well, I was doing a webinar yesterday. I've done a whole load of research on item development with AI, and I was presenting my findings then. And I knew I had an audience there, but they were just so absorbed listening, and it's kind of, are you there? So it's kind of hard. And I think when you do it in person, you get such a much better dialogue. I love the fact that like now we're all connected, but I think the in-person time is the real time to sit down and have those conversations. And sometimes I think what happens at these events, and I think the events need to take this on board a little bit more, is that because they have so many kind of big presentations that take up such a large amount of time, you're actually wasting some quite valuable time that smaller groups could be getting together. So I would love to see at these events just more opportunities for small group dialogues as opposed to the big kind of big stuff as well. But the great stuff, you just need to, and you get a bit of social time with people as well, don't you? Yeah, share a beer.
Well,
Yeah,
I do have to say I'm
Share
excited that you're coming to COTS, because when you say, that small time, I mean, COTS is one of my favorite conferences just because you kind of feel like you're going back to see some of your friends and family that you haven't seen in a while, right? Like there's really down to earth. Obviously, it's very specific on test security, but it's a great place that people just kind of collaborate on what's out there, and great conversations about mitigation strategies, and a whole lot of fun. I heard punting might be on the docket. Now, everyone in Cambridge told me there's no way you're punting in November, and I challenge accepted. We're definitely gonna punt. I've been told that some people will be watch us with a pint from the sidelines, but come to Cambridge,
punting and
everyone.
pinting, I think. Some people will be pinting, others will be punting. But,
I love it. Wherever we can. So yeah, absolutely in person. So Tim, really, I wanted to give you a moment too as well, because we talk a lot about mitigation strategies on this podcast. We talk about things, but what I'd really like to give a few more minutes to is using AI for positive, not just in assessment, but also in our communities. I know you have a new project local to you that you had mentioned on LinkedIn that you had kind of sent some information about, where you're using AI at home, right? So can you tell us more about what your initiative is? Share some of that.
yeah. Yeah, so obviously I've been working within the assessment space, working with awarding bodies, and quite a diverse range within that kind of educational space. But I also last year I was doing some teaching for a couple of years teaching at a local college, and part of that was I was realizing on a more steady basis that the AI literacy in this kind of area. So I live in the Aire Valley. The Aire Valley goes from Bradford out to the Yorkshire Dales, and anyone who knows Industrial Revolution history, this was one of the most significant parts of the Industrial Revolution back in the day. In fact, Bradford itself, parts of Bradford it was called Millionaires Row. It was the richest street in the world at the time. And also thrown in the cinema industry started here as well. But anyway, we had our own little Hollywood going on. So there's a lot of kind of rich industry, rich organisations, but people, and this isn't just local here, but people have just not really got their heads around what the opportunity is with AI and where am I AI forward top today. And what I want to do is just help people to be AI forward in their thinking, to start to try these tools out, to embrace them and learn. Because there was I don't know if there was an essay published a few weeks ago, I think called Something Big Has Happened. And the opportunity really with AI to really disrupt the way we live and work is huge. So I want to help people understand that literacy and understand their opportunity. And the kind of three pillars that I talk about, and I did it at an event last week, I think it was, which was an amazing event, 300 people in this new venue in Bradford, was the idea of being human first. So, we're not going anywhere. Humans aren't going anywhere. I hope not anyway. But you need to think about your own AI literacy, your own adoption, your own career path, the career path of your staff, your sustainability of your business. It is a human-orientated activity. AI within the community, thinking about the talking about the challenges, talking about the problems that we're going to face in society. So that kind of human-first thinking. AI forward is just the kind of the idea of being progressive with it. Not AI first, not kind of using it to just completely wash out all activity, but just having that AI forward mindset, because we're in a fast flowing stream that we can't stop. AI, the cat's out of the bag, really, isn't it? With AI, we can't turn back the clock on it, so I just need to adopt it. And then the other third point that I kind of talk about a lot is the idea of being agent ready. And what this means is that there's going to be an increased amount of, we talked about it today so far, use of agentic tools to do activities and use your services. So for a lot of businesses, for instance, if I'm booking let's say I want to book a massage, physio, one of the local physio places here where I live in Bingley. It'd be great if I could just chat with my AI here to get that sorted, look at my calendar, let it do all that work for me. But a lot of businesses just aren't prepared for that. They haven't got the integration, the APIs, the services. So just thinking about how your businesses work, and this applies to possibly to all the listeners here as well. Think about your technology and services, making sure that you are visible to the agents as much as you are visible to the humans as well in there. So just trying to really talk about it, get people thinking about it a bit more, and start to turn those cogs of AI literacy. And the Air Valley could then take over Silicon Valley. Then obviously,
Revert back. Billionaire row.
Yeah.
Well, let's. I think that would be a great topic for another podcast. Really, I think we should have Tim come back, because I think that's exactly what we're hoping to facilitate with And It Matters Because is some of these conversations, not just around exam security, but around policy, around new tools that are out there that can, expand education, change the way that we learn, that we assess, that we live. And AI is definitely in the crossroads of all of those conversations.
Can I just tell you one very quick vibe coding story? And that was, I was in the playground with one of the parents the other day, and they were saying their kid was really struggling with maths. And we've got this big document that had been sent out, PDF, of all these maths problems and things that we're supposed to kind of work with our kids on. And he was struggling with that, and he wanted an easy way to work with it. So I took that PDF, I put it into Lovable and said, build me an app. And I had this maths-based learning app created within 30 minutes, shared it out on the WhatsApp group for the teachers and for the other parents. And it's gone kind of viral in the school. So, the positivity of what we can do with this stuff is just enormous, I think.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so we're going to definitely come back to that conversation. In the meantime, are you up for a game, Tim?
I'm always up for a game. You know me, I'm game.
All right, so when we come back, we're going to play Security Salad. Stay tuned.
The EAA 2026 conference, taking place 8th to 10th June 2026 at Leonardo Royal London, St. Paul's. Featuring a full-day AI symposium, sharing best practice and industry insights, and shaping the future of digital assessment. The EAA 2026 conference. We can't wait for you to have your say.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody. Tim, thank you for playing this game with us. We're going to call it Security Salad.
Okay.
And basically what we're going to do is just give you some terms, and you're going to tell us if these are real terms or if we made them up. So it's just that simple. You just have to say fake or real.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Fake or real. Okay.
All right, here's our first one. Quantum keystroke analysis, which is a very new up-and-coming capability. It uses quantum mechanics to, in real time, analyze and match keystrokes for identification purposes. Real or fake?
I'm going to say fake.
It is fake, but it should be real.
It could be quantum computing that's going to be here soon. So
it's coming. Yeah.
Maybe.
So, but it's not
This was the beginning of it. Right now, it's $1 billion.
You heard it here.
Just think what your password's going to look like in a few years' time with that. Yeah.
All right, Jarret, what's your next?
Blockchain Scantron decoder. It uses Scantron data to identify item pre-knowledge.
Fake.
Absolutely.
Super fake.
Although it also should be.
Remember how you could get like those decoder rings inside of the cereal boxes? I feel like we need to pull those out again and hand them out to psychometricians and see if that'll.
I envision a future you can take your Scantron and you drop it on a pad, and all this data comes up in this 3-dimensional tree about the test taker.
I had a great guest on talking about personhood credentials, which is a great topic. I think.
That is a huge. It actually is a huge topic, especially with deep fakes. Personhood is a real thing. All right, here's another one. Are you ready? Item harvesting, which is theft of test content through memorization or recording of content without authorization or permission.
I'm going to go with real with that one.
That is real. It is real. Although it seems incredibly fake to me. That is really
it's the hardest
in our industry. We call it item harvesting. And I just picture these people out there like in their little overalls, like plucking a test question out, like pulling out a carrot, pulling out a potato and pulling out your multiple choice question and putting them all in there.
Yeah, item
think
scraping, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a.
I know it's such a ridiculous word.
Yeah.
Item harvesting. Okay.
All
Jarret.
right, number 4. Question Combinator Key. It uses keycrock technology to steal content and generate answer keys that can work even on scrambled forms.
I'm going to say fake.
Oh, you got us again.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're killing this. Yes, you're right. We thought we were being so witty with these.
That's good. That's good. I like it. But yeah.
A combinator.
Yeah.
And folks,
Yeah.
no AI was used to generate these real and fake terms.
That's right.
Nah.
These all came out of our squirrely brains. Okay, this next one is called the retinal biometric scramble. This uses AI technology to scramble or prevent identification through a retinal scan. Real or fake?
I think it was real.
It's actually fake.
Oh,
it's
we got
fake.
one.
Right? Yeah, your first one. I
just bought the
I think
domain.
yeah. But if you're looking for a way to mess those stuff up, I actually
Domain.
thought
That
like
could also be.
retinal biometric scramble, if you just punch somebody in the eye, that would have kind of the same effect as I don't know. There you go. All right, next
All
one.
right, second to last. Item banking, a secure location where test content is stored. Real or fake?
Well, it's real. Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
You're right.
It is. I think we should call it like item vaulting or item something. Item banking. I always think about people going in and they're dropping off items to get another item, to deposit an item.
And I think one thing I've experienced though is things like vibe coding for that. If you think about item banking, obviously it's a secure database location, but it's a workflow on top of it. It's just so lined up for vibe coding. So I think if your entire business is based on item banking, you might want to rethink that one, I think.
All right. Well, helpful hints from Tim there on your future business strategy. All right, here's our last one. It's a psychometric sensory pad. That is a pad that evaluates your trackpad interactions on laptops, along with other telemetry data and question responses to reach a decision on score validity.
Let's say fake.
It is fake, but it would be great
Yeah.
to have something like that, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely you kind of got these kind of hotspot things, haven't you? You've got the data from the screen, but yeah, I think the secret there was the fact that it's on the trackpad and not everyone would use the trackpad. But I don't. Maybe that's not my logic.
Yeah, that's right. Darn it. You were exactly right. But I do think that telemetry data, we're seeing a lot of benefit from that.
Yeah.
Just not just from a security perspective, but just from understanding how people are interacting with content and learning from the content in ways that we just don't have when we're paper pencil.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us and play our game. You passed.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Both raw score and scale score, you nailed it. So.
All right, everyone. Thanks. That is a wrap for episode 4. We do want to hear from you. If you have any questions about this episode or previous episodes, send us your questions at info@cornerstonestrategies.org. Until next time, this has been And It Matters Because.
This episode was hosted by Rachel Schoenig of Cornerstone Strategies and Jarret Dyer of Surpass Assessment. They were joined by Tim Burnett, founder of the Test Community Network. Thanks again for your time and hope to see you soon.